Here are the most recent deaths in the national news, as reported in the second week of July, 2025. At Legacy Weekly, we believe that every name we share carries more than dates. It carries stories, memories, and the legacies that shape our culture. From celebrated athletes and musicians to quiet veterans and beloved community figures, each life reminds us that to live is to leave a legacy. This week, we honor them with remembrance, respect, and gratitude. Louise Sharp died the 11th of July, 2025, of heart failure at the age of 65. He was an offensive tackle for the St. Louis and Arizona Cardinals in the 1,982nd and 92nd, earning recognition as a three-time Pro Bowl pick. Beyond the field, Sharp's life was marked by struggle as he faced addiction. But in later years, he transformed that struggle into a mission of service, working as a counselor at a sobriety clinic to help others find recovery. Sharp is being remembered not only as a steady force on the offensive line, but as a man who chose to turn his challenges into compassion for others. David Gergen died the 10th of July, 2025, in Lexington, Massachusetts. He was 83, passing away after living with Lewy body dementia. Gergen advised 4 U.S. Presidents Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Clinton, a rare testament to his ability to serve across party lines. He also appeared regularly as a journalist and analyst on programs such as Face the Nation and the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour. Gergen is being remembered for his lifelong call for bipartisanship and civil discourse, values he continued to advocate long after leaving government. He also served in the U.S. Navy for 3 years, remembered as both a veteran and a voice of reason in American politics. Donald Rose died the 11th of July, 2025, at a care home in Ilkeston, Derbyshire, England. He was 110. Rose joined the British Army as a young man and fought in World War II, serving in North Africa, Italy, and France. He took part in the D-Day landings and was with the regiment that liberated the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Rose is being remembered as Britain's oldest World War II veteran, and at the time of his death, believed to be the oldest man in the United Kingdom. His life spanned more than a century, but he never forgot the sacrifices made in war and the importance of passing on those memories. Dave Cousins died the 13th of July, 2025, at a hospice in Canterbury, Kent, England. He was 85. Cousins was the lead singer and principal songwriter of the folk rock and prog rock band Strawbs. The group earned international recognition with their 1973 hit, Part of the Union, an anthem for working people. Cousins also wrote beloved songs including Lay Down and Shine on Silver Sunday. Over decades, he guided the band's sound and vision, balancing poetic lyrics with progressive arrangements. Cousins is being remembered as the creative force behind Strawbs, a musician whose voice and words left a lasting imprint on British rock. David Caff died the 11th of July, 2025, at the age of 79. A musician first, he gained early recognition as a member of the band Rare Bird in the 1962nd and 72nd. But it was his role as keyboardist Viv Savage in the cult comedy film This Is Spinal Tap that gave him a place in pop culture history. Caff's character delivered some of the movie's most quoted lines, including his cheerful life philosophy, "Have a good time, all the time." He is being remembered as both a musician and an actor whose humor and talent brought joy to fans around the world. Fauja Singh died the 14th of July, 2025, in India, after injuries from a car accident. He was approximately 114 years old. Singh began running in his 82nd as a way of coping with the deaths of his wife and son, and what began as grief turned into a record-breaking marathon career. He continued running into his 102nd, inspiring millions as the world's oldest marathon runner. Singh is being remembered not only for his endurance and longevity, but for proving that it is never too late to begin again, that the human spirit is capable of renewal at any age. Andrea Gibson died the 14th of July, 2025, at their home in Longmont, Colorado, at the age of 49, after a battle with ovarian cancer. Gibson was Colorado's poet laureate, widely recognized for powerful spoken-word poetry that addressed grief, gender identity, love, and mortality. A recent documentary, Come See Me in the Good Light, profiled their marriage and their final years facing terminal illness. Gibson is being remembered for words that carried raw emotion and courage, giving voice to experiences often left in silence, and leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire. James Carter Cathcart died the 8th of July, 2025 in New York City, at the age of 71, after battling throat cancer. A voice actor, beloved by generations of fans, he was the voice behind many characters in the Pokemon anime, including Gary Oak, Meowth, James, and Professor Oak. He also lent his voice to Sonic X, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Cathcart is being remembered for shaping the soundscape of childhoods around the world, giving personality to characters that became cultural icons. His work lives on in every catchphrase and every memory of those who grew up watching. John MacArthur died the 14th of July, 2025, at a hospital in Santa Clarita, California, at the age of 86, after contracting pneumonia. He served as pastor of Grace Community Church in Sun Valley, California for more than 50 years, building a large congregation and expanding his ministry through the radio and television program Grace to You. MacArthur is being remembered for his influential sermons and writings, his fundamentalist approach to Scripture, and his lasting mark on American evangelical life. Connie Francis died the 16th of July, 2025, at the age of 87. She was the first woman to reach number 1 on the U.S. charts, with her 1,960 hit Everybody's Somebody's Fool. Her career extended into acting, with starring roles in Where the Boys Are and Looking for Love. Recently, her 1,962 single Pretty Little Baby went viral on TikTok, introducing her music to a new generation. Francis is being remembered as one of the great voices of early American pop, a singer whose songs carried across decades and who paved the way for future female artists. As we honor individual lives, we must also pause to recognize the tragedy that has touched an entire region. In Texas, the number of people who lost their lives during the devastating floods over the 4th of July holiday has now risen to 132. Communities across the state continue to grieve as families search for loved ones and towns begin the long path toward recovery. In the city of Kerrville, a memorial wall has become a gathering place where people from near and far have come to share their grief. Flowers, photographs, and handwritten notes line the wall, each telling a story of someone whose life ended far too soon. At Legacy Weekly, we have read dozens of tributes from families. Stories of young people who lived with passion and joy, filling short years with unforgettable moments. Stories of parents and children remembered for kindness and generosity, and stories of beloved grandparents whose long lives became a map of resilience and love. We invite all who are able to consider supporting relief efforts to help these families and communities heal. Visit the link on screen to give your support, and stand with those rebuilding after this profound loss. While we reflect on the lives of public figures, we also recognize that some of the most remarkable obituaries this week were not for celebrities, but for everyday people whose stories touch their communities in lasting ways. We remember a 99-year-old former television host from the outskirts of Chicago who once welcomed viewers into her kitchen with warmth and humor. Her local cooking show was a family tradition for decades, and her recipes live on in the homes of those who tuned in. We honor a world champion domino player from Texas, whose photograph still hangs proudly in the Domino Hall of Fame. To friends and neighbors, he wasn't just a competitor, but a man who taught patience, strategy, and the joy of gathering around a game table. We pay tribute to an environmental biologist from Maryland who dedicated his career to service. He advised branches of the Marines and Air Force, as well as federal agencies, sharing expertise that protected both people and the natural world. And we remember a Connecticut teacher and superintendent, admired across his state as an educator and a coach. In 1990, he was named America's Coach of the Year, a recognition that only confirmed what generations of students already knew, that his lessons went far beyond the classroom. At Legacy Weekly, these stories remind us that greatness is not measured only in fame, but in the lives we touch, the communities we strengthen, and the legacies we leave behind. In addition to remembering those who passed this week, Legacy Weekly also honors the anniversaries of remarkable lives, people whose voices, performances, and influence continue to echo through time. 1 year ago this week, actress Shannon Doherty died at the age of 53. A star of Beverly Hills, 90210, Charmed, and the cult classic Heathers, she became a household name in the 1992nd. Doherty is remembered not only for her acting, but for her courage in facing cancer with openness and strength, inspiring millions who followed her journey. Also 1 year ago, fitness guru Richard Simmons passed away at the age of 76. With his sequined tank tops and unshakable energy, Simmons helped generations of people get moving through his Sweatin' to the Oldies workout videos. He is remembered as a larger-than-life motivator, whose compassion made fitness feel accessible and joyful. That same week, beloved comedian Bob Newhart died at the age of 94. With his signature deadpan delivery, he found laughter in awkward silences and subtle pauses. His stand-up comedy, along with hit shows like The Bob Newhart Show and Newhart, made him a television legend. Newhart is remembered as a master of timing whose humor still resonates today. 5 years ago this week, actress Kelly Preston died at the age of 57. She starred in films like Jerry Maguire, Twins, and Sky High, balancing roles that showcased warmth and versatility. She was also known as the devoted wife of actor John Travolta. Preston is remembered as a radiant presence on screen and a figure of grace off it. This week also marks 90 years since the birth of actress and singer Diahann Carroll, who passed in 2019 at the age of 84. Carroll broke barriers as the star of Julia, one of the first American television shows to feature a black woman in a leading role. She later dazzled audiences in Dynasty and earned an Academy Award nomination for her performance in Claudine. Carroll is remembered as a trailblazer who brought elegance, strength, and authenticity to every role. These anniversaries remind us that while years pass, the legacies of great artists and leaders remain alive in their work, in their courage, and in the memories of those who loved them. Every week across the United States, flags are lowered to half-staff to honor the lives of Americans whose communities are mourning their loss. These tributes are a solemn reminder that service, sacrifice, and leadership live on in memory. In Michigan, flags have been lowered to honor former state lawmaker Virgil C. Smith, remembered for his years of public service and commitment to the people of his state. In Wisconsin, tributes honor David Pabst, longtime director of the Wisconsin State Patrol Bureau, and his wife, Teresa Terry Pabst. Their loss is felt deeply across the law enforcement community, where David's leadership and integrity were a guiding light for decades. Across the nation, each lowered flag speaks to a life dedicated to duty in government, in public safety, and in service to neighbors and communities. At Legacy Weekly, we join in these remembrances. The quiet symbol of the half-staff flag reminds us that even as we honor celebrities and public figures, we also pause to recognize those whose commitment to service strengthened the fabric of American life. As we close this week's edition of Legacy Weekly, we are reminded that every life, from global icons to quiet neighbors, leaves a mark that endures beyond time. Their stories of struggle, triumph, and love remind us that to live is to leave a legacy. Thank you for joining us in remembrance. Subscribe to Legacy Weekly for weekly tributes, and together, let us honor the voices and lives that continue to inspire us all.